Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm a really fun guy, evidently, from my videos. Last week I spoke about death of a parent. This week I'm going to talk about suicide and fear. I'm a party animal, I'll tell you what. Well, I did want to process the death and suicide of the great Robin Williams today in one of the videos. I was shocked to discover, excuse me, on Monday that Robin Williams had committed suicide. My daughter turned 19 on Monday, and we were sitting at a pizza place outside, lovely day, wonderful occasion. And of course, our phones aren't just phones, they talk to us even when people aren't calling. And we were notified, of course, by USA Today and this news company and that news company. And my poor daughter ended up being overshadowed by that news. It reminded me of one birthday I had many years ago when there was a white Ford Bronco. You oldsters know exactly what I'm talking about. O.J. Simpson evading the police in a white Ford Bronco. It was on my birthday, and boy, that made my birthday really creepy. So I felt sorry for my daughter Jordan that much of the conversation was around Robin Williams' suicide, but that's pretty big news, and I was pretty rocked by it. So, one comment: in our culture, we're always trying to be politically correct, and I think the punchline really was missed in much of the radio and television work around this topic of Robin Williams' suicide, because they were talking about how Robin Williams had passed away. Obviously, just Robin Williams passing away would have been a huge story, but the punchline was he committed suicide. And to me, that was just many times more massive, the story that he took his own life. Somebody who had been a comedian and making us laugh for 5 decades and was just this eminently wise fixture in our culture. So I had a hard time with, we're talking about Robin Williams passing away. No, let's talk about his suicide, folks. Let's talk about why would somebody do that. And there were later reports that Robin Williams was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and perhaps he just didn't want to deal with it. I'm not here in the video today to speculate. I don't know Robin Williams personally. I wish I had known him personally. But boy, he was one of my heroes. His role in Good Will Hunting was just spectacular. As a therapist, that for me was by far, hands down, the best role as a therapist in the history of film and television. Nothing's even close. What this young man, Will Hunting, needed was a therapist who was vulnerable and strong and a badass and raw and human and wise and caring and manly. I bench press 285. What do you bench press, Chief? I called him Chief. Of course, the powerful scene where Matt Damon's character is messing with Robin Williams' character and suggests that he married the wrong woman, and pointed out the depression and the lack of hope in the painting of the man rowing the boat. And he took his glasses off and folded it. Current clients of mine, if you ever see me take my glasses off and fold it, you're probably take an ass whooping, I think. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But he took his glasses off and he grabbed him by the throat and he said, "Don't ever disrespect my wife, I'll end you." Which is a move that a kid from Southie could dig. And it worked. And the powerful scene at the end, "It's not your fault, it's not your fault," and he's crying like a baby, and all these other knuckle-headed therapists got nowhere. He ate their lunches and punched them in the nose and pulled down their pants and spanked them, is what he did with their arrogance and their approaches that didn't work. But Robin Williams' character, he was deep, he was real, he was tough, he was smart, he was humble. He got the job done. And I can't help but think that he had a lot of therapy knowledge and insight. Of course, he'd been in recovery many times, treatment many times. But that role as a therapist was brilliant. But it also maybe showed his real self as being a depressed, morose fellow who despaired of life. So to go from probably my second favorite movie of all time, Good Will Hunting, to one in the top 10, and that's Dead Poets Society. I loved that movie. It was a movie about freedom and art and poetry and fun and knowing oneself, being true to oneself, the dangers of authoritarianism, the dangers of a cookie-cutter Big Brother society. And let me read some of the wonderful poetry from that movie. Captain, oh captain, my captain, oh captain, my captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every wrack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold and dead. Oh captain, my captain, rise up and hear the bells. This was Walt Whitman's poem about the death of Abraham Lincoln. And Robin Williams made it famous beyond what it was. Oh captain, my captain. Another just beautiful poem. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy days denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place, and on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, so eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. In this movie, Robin Williams tells his young lads that language was invented not for communication but to woo women. I say amen to that. And then several other poems, Robert Herrick's To the Virgins, To Make Much of Time, which begs readers to live life to its full potential, singing of the fleeting nature of life itself. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a-flyin', and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. And then, of course, Horace's long poem and the piece from that from 65 BC, scale back your long hopes to a short period. While we speak, time is envious and is running away from us. Seize the day, trusting little in the future. Carpe diem, seize the day. I live that way. Every day is precious. Every day is a challenge. Every day is a blessing. These days I leap out of bed every day. Just can't wait to get to doing what I'm doing. We've had some really exciting changes in our practice. Life's just exciting, and I feel so bad for people whose body chemistry has thrown them off. Robin Williams must have had just some real body chemistry issues, and I just empathize with that. And then, of course, the Parkinson's disease. So I would say thank you, Robin Williams. And I personally wasn't the big Mork Mindy, changing voices comedian. That wasn't my part that I liked about him. I liked him in more serious roles, and those two being my favorite. But he was brilliant in those, of course, as well. Mrs. Doubtfire and so many other amazing movies. But thank you for what you brought to the world. And it's ironic that Dead Poets Society is a movie about suicide. And it was ironic that Good Will Hunting is a movie about depression. So, oh Captain, my Captain, thank you for what you brought to us and for what you brought to the world. Folks, if you haven't joined our YouTube channel, we're on fire, Family Tree Counseling. We took 50 videos off of some of the gals who left, and our viewership's gone up 30%. And Jerry Wise, his videos are so popular, more popular than mine, I might add, but God bless him for that. I hope he becomes a megastar and I'll ride on his coattails. But join our channel, Family Tree Counseling, on YouTube, and visit our website, and that is familytreecounseling.com. And I have 6 books, actually, that you can purchase on our website and on Amazon.com, and books about abandonment and affair recovery and shame, and the basics of recovery. I had somebody contact me recently. They want me to write a book on the just dangers of victim mentality. Well, I tell you what, I could write a book about that, I believe. I do think that shame and isolation and depression and victim mentality, it can kill people. If you don't talk about your issues, if you don't trust the world enough to reach out and talk, your depression, your marital problems, your addictions, they can kill you. So just encourage you, if you're out there and you're in pain and you're thinking about taking your life, don't do it. It just affects so many people around you. Call a therapist, call a doctor, call a treatment provider, call a friend, call somebody, and let them know that you're in danger, and get some help. So carpe diem, seize the day, my friends. Bye-bye.